Hey y'all, Chomsky here. Wanted to talk about Granyt Doorkeep because I pulled them. Well, I fused up the champs and I pulled them. Really, the ideology behind that was, yo, dude, time to start accumulating things. So I pulled my voids on Thursday, Wednesday, and yeah, didn't get diddly poo, but I got a few of those the rares to meld into the epics and yeah, I finished off the classic arena and I had enough and I was like, yo, dude, let me just pull them and let's run with them. So typical Chomsky fashion, we're just gonna run through two different gear sets that I could see with them. Uh, there's gonna be others, but two that immediately leaps out to me is gonna be protection and feral. Uh, Lethal is also out there, and that's not too bad. But the whole idea is in those longer fights, I also want my allies to do some damage. So like Lethal could also work. I'm not a content creator by any means. I just really enjoy these YouTube videos that I bust out. So I don't have the test server, and I'm not going to really spend the resources on him at this stage when he could be used in CVC for some training points or what have you. So this is a currency that I want to hang on to as long as I can. So yeah, not really going to be bumping him up, but let's go through his kit, and then we could go through the gear sets, and then a relic, and then where I think masteries would go. So he's attacking one enemy thrisely. Each hit can remove a random buff 100% when booked. Each hit will ignore 20% of target's defense. Solid. Uh, Not bad. Uh, if you have an ally attacker um, and could bring him in, that's great. And have him go nuts. Just have him go first. So this way, when I say go first, group them closer towards the team lead. So this way, he goes before others, and then this could proc. So this way, there's some more damage from your others. Um, the E2, he's attacking all enemies. He's putting an increased accuracy on all allies. Has a 100% chance of placing decreased defense and block buffs on all enemies. So basically, this is an Ugo A2, but with an increased accuracy that he could put on all of us. So that's not bad. Uh, I'm not expecting a boatload of damage. I haven't looked, haven't watched the other content creators do their test runs with them. Frankly, they got some awesome gear, and that's gear that I don't necessarily want to have on Doorkeep when I don't really plan on using them in many facets of the game. So okay, getting the increased accuracy out there, that's it's pretty gnarly. You could put them in Chimera on some of your teams if you have Ugo. This ain't that bad. This is basically a more damage Ugo without the leech, so that kind of sucks, but still pretty good. Uh, no shame on that one. Just I think it's okay. Putting that increased accuracy just allows you to kind of throttle down a little bit, but frankly, we're using these champs everywhere, so you wanna have enough accuracy. Here, A3. Before he attacks, he removes all debuffs from himself and places a shatter and increase crit damage in all of our allies. Shatter is it's always at the bottom. That's what really sucks. Shatter is I think that's increased uh, damage because their defense goes down. Ignores defense this is the big one, by 15%. So cool, more damage, love it. And he's the first one that does that on a skill. He's also ignoring unkillable, stone skin, block damage buffs. If the target is not under them, then he's doing 100% more damage. If he does kill somebody, gets an extra turn. Okay, self-explanatory, more damage. Ignoring ignoring 100%, or I'm sorry, he deals 100% more damage. That's awesome, man. For an HP champ, that's great. Because we know that we we can't really bump up HP so much for damage, so he needs all the help he can get. Passive, when it's unlocked, he basically removes fear, true fear, provoke, stun, freeze, sleep, petrification from this champion. Increases the champ's damage inflicted against targets with no buffs by 20%. So kind of cycles back to this, like just try to make sure that nobody's got buffs when you're attacking. He's not going to be leading anything because really increase like crit rate by 20%. That's meh. So overall, decent support, right? Putting out their decreased defense, block buffs, solid. Uh, given my dudes the ability to ignore defense, fantastic. Okay, cool. And then he's also potentially stripping, so that's okay. And he's ignoring 20% of target's defense. Okay. So I put on him the Drought of Ire as the relic, and I don't know. Deals 5% more damage when using their default skill when all other skills are on cooldown. I have just bosses deal 5% less damage to them. I don't really, I don't really know what I would rather have this on. Um, Circle wise, okay, cool. If I have them in Hydra, like Boss Slayer kind of makes sense. I get it, but a lot of the circle ones, I I meh, you know? So I just thought of this. It's just this more HP for him, like more sustainability. Like he doesn't need accuracy unless you want him to remove buffs, but that's fine. It's kind of this whole thing. So you do want accuracy, and I get it. Um, I'll get into it. So I it's okay. If you're on a big turn meter, like depending on how your team's set up, invigorated does make sense on them because you want them to attack more and yada yada yada. Like I could go with this, so that's fine. So going back to the kit here, uh, first I have Feral, and that's not cool. Feral basically gets way to go, Chomsky. Way to go. Uh, basically, because he's not all the way. It's fine. 270 speed. Okay, cool. That crit rate's gonna change when I get the masteries. A buck 80 crit damage is not enough, even with that additional crit damage that he does get from the buff. I just want more, more and more and more. And then accuracy's at 254. That's low. I talked about it with, you know, you kind of want to get accuracy. I know he does buff up, but still, accuracy is pretty important. So ideally, I would love to have 400, and I would put in an accuracy banner on him with Feral. 9-piece, ideally, just because I want more damage, and plus, you get more accuracy and speed. I think that's fine. Pinpoint could also be used, but I'm gonna stick with this. I'm taking off Fabian. I'm not really using him so much, and that's okay. Taken away from Corvus is not the end of the world. Karen, okay, and then Andrissia um, only helps him out in faction wars. So this is kind of a basic feral stuff with him that I'm not crying too much about taking him off these champs. Like Fabian, that kind of hurts, but it's okay. I don't really I mess around with them in a couple areas of arena and maybe siege, but I could always swap back and forth. So getting Feral again, just based on team composition, it's okay. And he's 5-star, so there's these stats are relatively low, but the end result, it'll be okay. It'll be all right. The other one I had was protection, uh, also nine piece ideally. I don't have the crit rate here, so it's not ideal. Uh, accuracy is way too low. So this will definitely get worked on again. I don't want an accuracy chest by any stretch. Uh, and honestly, protection only it doesn't really stick so much. Do I want that shatter to not be stolen? 100%. Do I want that crit damage to be stolen? It's not ideal, but if it does get stolen in PvE, then that's fine because they only have a 15% chance of critting. So it's not going to be the worst, but that's fine. And again, the reason why 9 piece is just they're doing 5% more damage for each buff placed by the wearer, since he's putting out their increase accuracy, shatter, and crit damage. That's 3, so that's another 15%. Like that's okay. And since we're all doing Hydra, right? Uh, we have these protection pieces, so let's utilize them as best as we can. So that's fine. Um, I didn't I didn't really want to think about Slayer. I mean, it's fine. Like you're ignoring that, but you're not really. I mean, you're only doing this on the A2, and historically A2s don't hit as hard as an A3. So Slayer could also work, but I'm not pinning my hope on that. You know, I'd much rather have Feral out there. I'm a big Feral guy. That's why they call me Feral Chomsky. Uh, Nobody calls me that. Mastery wise, I'm going to go offense. I want to ignore all defense as I can. Uh, Going back to the A3, he's dealing more damage if nobody has buffs, but defense is still there. So that's why I'm going to go Helm Smasher. If you're in a heavy ally attack team, Giant Slayer could make sense since it's proccing on every hit of the A1. That makes sense. I wouldn't go War Master. I would go either, Helm Smasher or Giant Slayer. And crit rate, crit damage, that's not gonna work. Um, you do want him to kill, but again, I'm kind of pigeonholing him into Chimera, Hydra. Geez, I mean, clan boss if you need him. Like he's not going to be killing them there, so I feel that's kind of a waste. Uh, Cycle of Violence works because he's ignoring defense and doing more damage, so that kind of works. But against bosses, ugh, that's not going to happen. So you're pretty much set in that one. And then here, again, default skill. That A1's going to do some damage. So I'm okay with that. If you get really wonky with those debuffs, yeah, uh, this could work. But again, I don't want debuffs on him. He is HP based, so there is sustainability, but that's fine. So the two caveats here: how do you want them? So you could do the support tree to extend his buffs. Okay, that's not bad. You want to extend those shatters and what have you. This could work. You know, I like the idea of deterrence, like especially in Hydra, just because I want to get as much of that damage as I can. And if he's ignoring 20% of defense on those A1s, I think this could be it. Kind of like a Shamael. Um, because because we also have Stoneface here. He's removing his fear, when he gets to go. So deterrence makes sense to me if you're going to be doing damage. And okay, like it just makes sense. So basically, is he an updated Shamael? Kind of, but he's not removing it from your champion. He's just removing it from himself. So he's this very selfish Shamael, but he could help. He could definitely help out in Hydra. So that's why getting that A1, um, not War Master, getting Giant Slayer on him would make sense if you need to pigeonhole him into Hydra. Otherwise, really Helm Smasher. That's just the way that I'm foreseeing it. Again, I just as a dry run, I think it's okay. Um, what other relic would I put on him? I I I, I really think that Drought of Ire, in addition to like the damage stuff, the Cat's Gaze, yada yada yada, the Talon, Malefic Talon, right? Just a moment. Uh, the Malefic Talon, I think it makes sense. Like crit damage and HP, great. We get HP here, but attack, so that's a waste. At least here we get a deucer, and that's more than a oneer. I would like a thricer. But there you go. Malefic Talon, I love Malefic Talon. So I the more the better. So I Drought of Fire also works. I'm okay with that. Cat's Gaze ideally, but uh yeah, yeah. Uh crit damage, attack is fine, defense, whatever. Attack is okay, but doesn't really help out that damage. So it's kind of a Cat's Gaze all the way. But if you don't have Cat's Gaze, then Malefic Talon works. So just kind of what I see. Uh, again, Hydra based, Chimera based, Clan Boss based. I think you know I think he'll be okay. Is he gonna hop into my teams? Maybe not, just because I have others. But I think if you have him, you're gonna definitely lean into him, and I think you're gonna see him in a lot of PVE content. PvP wise, I mean, he's ignoring a lot. So there you go. Uh, when you fight off those annoying champs, like let's say Ultimate Death Knight, that could be all right. Um, he doesn't really block revive or anything like that. So, going against a Stone Skin Wukong, okay, you just got to make sure that there's more people behind you that's going to do more damage quickly. But that's fine. So here we go. That's Granyt for me. I I'll mess around with him eventually, but he's not a high priority for me right now. So he's still going to be fun. Like all of these champs get fun. That's going to be the tagline here: "Get fun with Granyt." But he, I enjoy this. So theory crafting and trying to make things work would be great. And eventually, I'll do some live testing with them after a PR CVC. So give me a month or so, and then we'll have our fun with them. All right, that's me. That's Chomsky. That's Get Fun Chomsky. Uh, here we are. So find me on Twitch. I don't mind waxing poetic and seeing what I can do to help. This is Get Fun Chomsky After Dark. Look forward to hanging out with you. Take care. Bye bye.